Do you love pretty paper and different types of stationery and colored markers and pretty pens and stickers and all of that fun stuff? Well, you might want to consider bullet journaling to help you read more books. So today we're going to talk about exactly that. I've broken up today's video into all of my favorite bullet journaling supplies. I'm going to assume you're just starting out from scratch, and then we're going to go into some favorite layouts I have. Hi everyone, I'm Lisa, contemporary romance author. Now today I told you I'm going to share with you my favorite supplies for bullet journaling. I'm going to assume you've never bullet journaled, or maybe you just kind of dabbled in it, or maybe you just like to see other supplies that other bullet journal users have. Now if you're not familiar with the term bullet journal, it's just I guess I don't want to say a generic term. It was actually created and penned by Carol Reiter, and it means simply having a notebook where you go ahead and write anything you want. Basically, there really are no rules. Now, many people use bullet journaling for different things, for studying, for planning, for recording stuff, for scrapbooking. So it's really something you can just make your own. And I have used it for recording all of the books that I read and also to help motivate me to read more books. So let's go ahead and dive into all of my supplies. Now, you obviously need scissors because, I shouldn't say obviously, I need scissors because as I mentioned before, or I didn't mention, I don't draw. And because I don't draw, I actually end up printing a lot of pretty things or book covers onto sticker paper. So I have this Avery sticker paper, and this is what I print out things that I am just not talented enough to draw. And then I take that sticker paper, I cut it out to the size I need, and slap it into my bullet journal. I also have a ruler to keep things straight, and I also have a glue stick so I can just glue things on if I print it out and I don't use the sticker paper. I also keep a little pouch. This is a cute little Erin Condren pouch of all of my favorite pens. I have a ton of them, as well as different calligraphy and watercolor sort of pens. I also just happen to be a calligrapher, so I do have a oblique pen as well as a ton of different, I have Sumi ink. I also have masking fluid so I can put little designs. Honestly, there are channels that are 100% just dedicated to bullet journaling and different bullet journaling projects. So this is really a very fun little activity you could do in addition to reading all of your books. Now, I also have a huge sticker collection that I keep inside. This, again, is a little Erin Condren folio, and it's really meant to hold planners, but instead I just have a very huge sticker collection that I have at my disposal so I can add them into my bullet journaling. And then the most important part is picking the notebook, stationery, paper, or whatever you want to use for bullet journaling. Now, typically the most popular one is just to have a notebook that either has saddle stitching or has staples on the side, and then when you open it, it can lay flat, right? You can kind of force it and push it down so you can easily write left to right on this. Now, depending on the thickness, it may or may not lay flat. They do have hardbound ones, and you could get the pages where they have the nice metallic gilding on the edges. These obviously don't lay flat as easily because of the hardcover spine and the way that they're shaped. So it's really just more on what you're comfortable with. And again, you might have to do a little bit of trial and error to figure out what you like. This is actually a very expensive one from Baron Fig. This is a leather holder, and inside of here there is a dot grid journal. So I don't know if you can see that. You can then keep this cover on the outside and then just interchange your notebook whenever you run out. And of course, you could always do multiples. I think people do what's called travelers folios, and they will put a ton of different notebooks like this size into it. So maybe you could have one of these for paranormal stories you want to read, have another one for romantic suspense or for thrillers, and just sort of compartmentalize all of your book reading like that. You could get what's called an O-coil. This is a golden coil notebook, and these are actually quite expensive. I think they start around $75. And this one will lay flat, but it will have a coil in the center. That's actually one of my favorites, or you could get just a spiral, and this one was made by Plum Paper. You can go ahead and there's a little bit of customization you can do with the covers for them. I did have this one custom made, and this, again, you just have the spiral in the center. If you like that or don't like that, that's something to consider. The last two I'm going to show you, this is Life. It is Japanese paper. Now, if you've never used Japanese paper, it has a special coating on it, so it feels silky smooth and soft. This is obviously a very large one. I think it's an 8.5 by 12. This lays flat, but if you're like me and you write really big, this might be good for you, especially because I do calligraphy, so I need the thicker paper so it doesn't bleed through on the other side. This is probably less traditional, but again, it's your bullet journal. You can do it however you want. You could have a spiral at the top, and so then when you open it, it just sort of lays that way. Or again, you could do it the long way and have it this way. However you want. If you run to Michael's, you'll see a huge section where they always have a ton of notebooks on sale, as well as TJ Maxx if you are looking to just try out a bunch of different options before committing to just one. So those are all of my supplies. So I'm going to flip the camera around and we're going to go ahead and look at some different layouts that you can use in order to start bullet journaling to read more books. This is the first page of my bullet journal, and it's an index, which is basically a table of contents. So you have a page number here, and then what the contents are. Page 2 is a reading log, page 3 is the Asian Readathon, page 5 is the calendar, and 6 through 14 are monthly goals. Now, I'm not a big illustrator, but I do love stickers, so I decorated my bullet journal with just a lot of stickers. This is my to be read list for the month. So I have all my books listed over here. And then this is my reading log. So here are each of the different days within August. And over on the right, I will add the number of pages that I read each month. This is the Asian Readathon. So I actually already completed this. These were the 5 books that I read on the left. And then over here is just my notes on what I thought of each book and the grade that I gave to each one. And over here in the bottom, you'll see page numbers that match to the beginning for the index. So let's flip over to page 5. So this is, I'm not sure if you can see this, these are Dutch doors. So Dutch doors are when you cut out the top half and just leave the bottom half. So don't worry, I did recycle the top pages, so I used those for note pages. But over here at the top, you can see, even if I keep turning the pages at the bottom to each of my weekly goals, you'll still see the August calendar at the top. So I drew my own calendar and I put some different appointments in there. Obviously, these are the Hallmark Aurora Tea Garden shows that I want to make sure that I record. I'm teaching a Scrivener course and I give myself days off. And these are just reminders that these are paydays. So over here, these are just like a regular calendar. I have last month and the next month over here in case I want to just look ahead. And then for each week, I have used one of the Dutch doors. And these are my goals for week number 1, which corresponds with this week. And then I gave myself just a little thinking page with some inspiration. And then over here, we have week number 2, which is August 11th. And down here, I added a little gratitude list. And then over here, we have week number 3, which corresponds with August 18th. And finally, we have week number 4, which is the week of the 25th. And I just gave myself some little inspirational quotes down here at the bottom. So that is pretty much it for my bullet journal. Now, I do know I left myself a couple extra pages in case I want to add some other stuff in August. And then for September, I haven't made it yet, but I did make the index because I know which pages I want to make. And so, for example, I'm probably going to do a lot of the same things, but I'm also going to make a priority list. I'm going to put a book budget together because it's the fall and I'd like to buy some new books. And because it's the fall, there actually are a ton of new releases that I want to make sure are on my radar, and some other genres that I might want to read, some reading goals, a little book bingo, and I'm going to start going to book club meetings again in the fall. All right, I hope you found that fun. I love doing bullet journaling. And again, you don't even need to know how to draw. You can look at tons of things. I forgot to mention this book, Beyond Bullets. It has a lot of great layouts in here for different things, habit trackers, for planners, just to give you some idea of what you could put in there. There's a lot of great courses on hand lettering, if that is another skill that you want to learn to make your bullet journal a little prettier. And if you have any questions, go ahead and leave them below. There's also a ton of YouTube channels out there and different blogs that love to share their bullet journal layouts. So lots of ideas just waiting for you to go out there and borrow them. Make sure to hit the subscribe button below and give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. And we will see you guys next week. Bye.